Welcome to The Explainer, where we break down the big topics using the sources behind the headlines. Today, we're diving deep into the world of artificial intelligence, looking at its incredible promise and, well, its hidden peril.
So let's talk numbers because they are staggering. The AI market is just exploding. By 2030, it's projected to be worth over $1.8 trillion. Yeah, that's trillion with a T.
But hang on, it gets even bigger. The expected boost to the global economy? Almost $16 trillion. Just to give you a little perspective, that's more than the entire current economic output of China and India combined.
And you know, this is the story we almost always hear, right? It's a modern-day gold rush, a technological revolution that promises to change absolutely everything with unprecedented growth and efficiency.
Okay, but what's the catch? Let's really get into this because some fascinating academic research suggests there's a whole other story behind these giant numbers, one we rarely see. A story about what, and more importantly, who is paying the real price for all this progress.
So a recent paper from Leiden University really puts a fine point on it, framing the whole issue with a pretty provocative term: AI colonialism. The argument is that we have to stop looking at AI as just pure technology and start seeing it as a system that's actually making global inequalities even worse.
The core argument of this paper is that AI is basically acting as a new form of exploitation, both digitally and environmentally, and it's one that looks an awful lot like the old patterns of colonialism from history.
So here's the key takeaway. This incredible leap in technology might actually be built on a foundation of really deep global inequality. Think about it. The wealth gets created and concentrated in one part of the world, while all the damaging consequences, both to people and the planet, get offloaded somewhere else.
Let's break down how this actually works, and we'll start with the human cost. You know, we have this image of AI as being these self-sufficient, autonomous brains, but the reality? It's not that at all.
It's not magic. AI is built on the backs of millions of low-paid workers doing incredibly tedious but absolutely essential work, like labeling data or moderating content. They are the real engine running the machine, but they're treated as if they don't even exist, completely invisible.
And this slide really just lays bare the stark economic reality of that invisible labor. A worker in, say, Venezuela might be earning as little as 90 cents an hour for the exact same task that pays someone in the US up to $25. The difference is just massive.
And this really gets to the dehumanizing conditions these so-called ghost workers are facing. I mean, they're performing psychologically damaging labor for wages you can't live on with zero job security, and it's all just to make our AI systems a little bit smarter and to keep our social media feeds clean.
And listen, this isn't just some abstract academic idea. This is the lived reality for the people who are actually powering this industry. Their own words paint a truly harrowing picture of what that human cost looks like.
But the cost isn't just human. It's planetary. AI's digital world has a massive, very real physical footprint that we almost never think about. Get this, according to research from the University of Massachusetts Amherst, training just one large AI model can pump out as much carbon dioxide as 5 cars do over their entire lifetimes. That's just wild.
And it's not just about energy. It's about water. 700,000 liters. That's how much fresh water was reportedly used just to cool the machines that trained a single model, ChatGPT-3. And this is happening in a world where clean, safe drinking water is becoming more and more scarce.
And then there's the hardware itself. It has to come from somewhere, right? Well, over 70% of the entire world's supply of cobalt, which is essential for the batteries and electronics that run AI, comes from one place, the Democratic Republic of Congo. And this mining, well, it leads to deforestation, contaminated water, and just horrific human rights abuses. So the environmental crisis links right back to a human one, trapping whole communities, including children, in this devastating cycle of exploitation.
And the consequences of all this aren't just happening in faraway mines or hidden data centers. They're actually starting to threaten the very nature of truth in our own societies.
One of the most immediate threats we're facing is the rise of deepfakes. This is where AI is weaponized to create incredibly convincing disinformation and hate speech. This isn't just some harmless internet prank. It's a really powerful tool for manipulation.
You see, this technology directly attacks our ability to have a shared sense of what's real, and that's the absolute bedrock of a functioning democracy.
It just erodes trust, it marginalizes voices, and it poisons the information ecosystem that all of us depend on.
So how does this whole system of exploitation actually work? That source paper gives us two really powerful concepts to help us understand the mechanism behind this idea of AI colonialism.
Okay, first up is a mouthful: necroexportation. But the idea is pretty simple, if a bit grim. It's the process of deliberately exporting harm. This is where all the life-threatening costs, the toxic mining, the traumatic content moderation, the depleted water sources are systematically pushed onto populations and ecosystems that are basically considered expendable.
And second, that whole process reinforces another big idea: necrostratification. This basically creates a global hierarchy, a ladder, that decides whose life and well-being are valuable and worth protecting and whose are treated as disposable, all in the name of innovation and profit.
And all of this forces us to ask a really difficult question. When we're celebrating these incredible advances in AI, we also have to ask ourselves what and who is being sacrificed to make it all happen. Understanding this hidden cost, well, that's the first step toward maybe building a technological future that's a little more equitable and a little more just.